Oh, hey.
Hi.
Welcome to Swift Lore Podcast, where we dive into the lyrics and lore of our Lord and Savior, Dr. Taylor Allison Swift.
Absolutely, that's why we're here.
I'm Kat.
I'm Abby. We are getting so good at that.
We are fucking pros. We haven't messed it up in like
a few weeks.
Yeah.
And I love that for us.
We're really crushing it.
Abby and Kat were born in 1997 and became best friends when they were 6. Grew up together and started a band and bonded over music ever since. 20 years later, they are all grown up and spend their free time analyzing lyrics. Now here they are talking all about their Lord and Savior, Dr. Taylor Allison Swift. Taylor, if you're listening, we love you.
So while Abby's untangling her tea bag, I will promote once again our Tortured Poets live stream that we're going to be doing on, I guess we'll start April 18th at like 11 p.m.-ish.
Eastern Standard
Time. And we will be like getting ready for the album, and then obviously it'll be like a listening party, so we'll all listen together. It'll be an Instagram live, and I think we'll figure out a way to put like a link in our bio to like the Spotify listening party, so that wherever you are, you can listen to it with us and not have to like struggle through hearing it on the live stream. Like, it'll be playing out loud in the background, but also you can listen to it separately, because I know that would bug me if I was trying to listen, but then I couldn't hear it all the way, because two people that I admire and love so much who have a great podcast just keep talking over it.
Yeah, for real. And
my ego is so normal sized.
Also, Taylor announced those playlists
some
today.
Playlists
today
and
for
they're
us.
the 5 stages of grief.
Yep.
And I made them on Spotify. So if you are also a Spotify user and you have not yet made it yourself or found one, they'll be in our Instagram highlight reels probably. So today's episode, to prepare for Tortured Poets Department, we're getting literary.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2 songs that we're doing are Invisible String
and Tolerate It,
which, we'll get into it, but both of them have literary references in them.
And Barbed Wire.
Barbed Wire and books. That's what this episode is.
So you should go first.
I agree. Invisible String. Which, honestly, of all the songs that have gotten the flourish, that deserves the flourish.
Yeah, that one feels pretty apt.
It sounds, yeah. So, Invisible String is track 11 on Folklore. It was written and produced by Taylor and Aaron Dessner. It's a banger. And it was on the Eras Tour set list for the first 4 shows, and then it got replaced with the 1. There was some announcements around that time as to why that may have happened. Mm-hmm. We won't be going into it.
Nope.
But she did also play it Nashville Night 2, because they dedicated a park bench to her in Centennial Park that she mentions in the song.
Aww.
So she put it back that day. And one thing, I saw a video of like the Invisible String stage thing. That's how words work, right?
Yeah.
When she performed Invisible String, the Eras Tour stage had like little gold strings going. I can't remember who was from her out to the audience or vice versa, but they throughout the whole song like wound down the stage towards the other end of it. So cute.
That is cute.
In terms of my personal connections to the song, one of my cousins got married in August 2020, very small backyard wedding because the COVID. And for the wedding, everybody could send in requests for the DJ, and I requested Invisible String, and they played it during the fucking dinner service.
Rude.
I couldn't even fucking drop it to Invisible String. What the fuck is the point of going to a wedding? It was very beautiful. They're very in love. Very cute. They have several kids. 1.5. The other one's not born yet.
Aw.
But if I ever get married, this is on the playlist. This is on the must play.
Along with a bunch of ABBA songs.
It's going to be ABBA and Taylor Swift, and nobody can complain because it'll be my wedding.
Is it ABBA or ABBA?
I don't know.
Okay, well, we said both ways, so you guys can't argue with us.
I mean, you can, but just do it in a way that boosts engagement, perhaps on our social media. An overall interpretation of the song.
An immediate yawn.
Immediate yawn. I'm just like snooze. Being in love, I'd be considered being single
And asleep.
and sleepy. I'm so fucking tired all the time. You want me to entertain this another person? Ugh. Because that's what relationships are for, right? Entertainment. Anyways, wonder why I'm single.
That's in my song where we talk about relationships being about entertaining.
True. This is the prequel.
Cries. Cries. Yawns.
Let me put down my tea. All right. Overall, the song is just about manifesting a boyfriend. Legends only. But also like when you fall in love with someone and then realize all the little ways that your paths have crossed over the years and being like, there were signs all along and I just didn't notice because I wasn't like looking in the right way.
Yeah.
It's very cute. That's why I'm going to be really sarcastic. What a happy song. Time to make some bits.
Because this is one of the only sweet little happy songs on Folklore.
Yes, this song. Yeah, this is pretty much the only fully happy little bop.
Yeah.
Because like August is a happy bop, but like
it's sad.
It's got the yearning sadness to it. And same with Betty.
Mm-hmm.
Green was the color of the grass where I used to read at Centennial Park. Reality-based queen, grass is green. Oh, I also want to point out, if anybody's watching this, today I got dressed and I forgot that we were recording, but I did wear green leggings and a blue tank top and my Folklore sweater and space buns. So invisible string moment for real, because I fully forgot that we were recording until like noon.
Cat looks so cute, guys.
I look stunning. How am I? Sorry. So again, like I mentioned, for Eras Tour stuff, this is a park in Nashville where there is a bench dedicated to Taylor in honor of this line in Invisible String. But I also think it's interesting, just like the framing of it, of her like reading in a park. Obviously, she lived in Nashville when she was first starting her music career. And also, I mean, it's not like she could go read at a park now. It's pretty, so it has to be like a while ago. This is like her first moment of connection. I used to think I would meet somebody there. I love daydreaming up scenarios to meet people that will never happen.
Oh, me.
It's just so, that is my
Yes.
cup of tea. Just like this one. Teal was the color of your shirt when you were 16 at the yogurt shop. This one, unfortunately, we do have to do a little name. Joe Alwyn did work at a name drop.
He worked at a name drop. Can you believe it?
He worked at a yogurt shop. That's pretty much all it can mean.
Leave it to Taylor Swift to put the word yogurt in a song and make it sound poetic.
Because the thing with the way that she phrases everything in the song is it's so fucking weird. And if anybody ever spoke to me like this, I would be like, are you having a stroke?
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't say like green was the color of the grass where I used to read at Centennial Park. You'd say like when I used to read at Centennial Park, the grass was green. Like the way that she structures it is weird, but it's so like bouncy and fun. Like the rhythm of the lines just works so well.
It's a grammatical nightmare, but it is also a bop.
Exactly. Exactly. Time, curious time. Time makes fools of us all. And I think it's really interesting how that specific line changes throughout the song, so we'll get to it. But the curious time at first of like, she doesn't understand. She's talking about when they were younger, when she was reading in Centennial Park and he was working at a yogurt shop, and both when they were like 16-ish. And when they didn't really understand how time would affect them. So it's curious time. Gave me no compasses, gave me no signs. Just the idea of ending up where you're meant to be, even without instructions or without guidance, because it turns out you did kind of have guidance from the universe.
Yeah.
Were there clues I didn't see? Couldn't be me. I am an English major to my fucking core. The curtains are always blue for a fucking reason. Nothing happens without a reason except for when it does, and then I'm let down because of my delusions. Just like, oh my God, we both wore the same color jacket on this date. We must be destined. No. That's not a real life example, but it feels as delusional as things that I have thought otherwise, so.
It's not a real life example.
No, I just made it up.
Yeah, but
But if it happened, I would be like, are we about to kiss? And isn't it just so pretty to think? So this is the literary reference of the song in Ernest Hemingway. In his book, I Hate Hemingway. Glad he's dead. In his book, The Sun Also Rises, which I had to read in college from a professor who was so far up Ernest Hemingway's Ernest Hemingway's ass that he would roll in his grave to hear me mispronounce it. But we had to do such an intense reading of this book. Like, my professor was obsessed. Like, he was the head of like the Ernest Hemingway club. I don't know. It was a fan club basically, but he did it in like a cool way. I don't know. He was a weird, cool dude. He like sat outside the lecture hall and smoked from a like pipe. But like an old timey, like a corncob pipe vibe.
Did he have a button nose?
He did not. His name was Stony. Literal.
I mean, come on. It sounds like
Stoneback was his actual last name. And then he'd tell these stories and he'd be like, I know some parts of this are a lie, but you're telling it so good.
I'm just saying, he sounds like Frosty the Snowman's cousin.
You know, I never saw the two of them in the same room. This is what global warming has taken from us, family reunions.
Oh my goodness.
So, The Sun Also Rises. So, in that book, the main character, Jake, doesn't end up with his love interest. I believe her name is Brett. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I know it's on that bookshelf, but I don't want to get up and get it because there's a box in the way. But basically, throughout the entire thing, like, Jake is in love with her, and she doesn't want to be with him because his dick doesn't work after the war. Said after World War I. And the final lines of the book...
You can't just say that and then just not acknowledge it.
I spent so long in that class not acknowledging it.
It's so crass.
I mean, I'm right.
Oh, okay. We're back in it.
We're back in it. So they they never got together in the first place because they couldn't get together. I'm going to hell. And the end of the book is the love interest saying to him, you know, isn't it pretty to think that, like, we could have been together? And he's just like, yeah. But also, as she's saying this, he kind of has the, like, full realization of, like, we're never going to be anything. Like, this is never going to happen. So just an interesting, like, thing to reference. Mm-hmm. And also, I didn't come up with this connection on my own because, as previously stated, I clearly hate Hemingway. The author of Crying in H Mart and the lead singer of Japanese Breakfast. Oh God, what's her name? Why am I forgetting it? It's Michelle something. Nope. Yeah, Michelle Zahner. Crying in H Mart, and then she's also in Japanese Breakfast. I was right.
Who's going to be at Lollapalooza, I think.
Oh shit. Maybe I'll see her. Anyways, she was at a party and Taylor Swift was there, and they were both at the bar at the same time. And she was like, did you write Isn't It So Pretty to Think, An Invisible String, after the sun also rises? And Taylor Swift, drinking her vodka and Diet Coke, that's what she got at the bar, goes, okay, English major, and then just walked away. Which is so fucking good. It's such... That was the real inspiration behind this episode, was the okay, English major quote.
Mm-hmm. Also, isn't it just so pretty to think our first drink together was vodka and warm Coke?
Oh my God. I'm sure Taylor Swift's had ice in it.
I'm sure. Ours also wasn't diet. That's okay.
But anyways, invisible string to us and Taylor Swift.
Exactly.
Drinking the same kind of shitty drink. Hell was the journey but I fully put my phone away as if I'm not in the middle of presenting.
Present your case.
I would say we're unhinged, but have we ever been hinged?
Never, not once.
But also just the idea of, like, it's pretty to think about, but it might not happen. So it's kind of, if she is referencing Hemingway in this line, she's kind of saying, it's pretty to think about this. I don't know if this is real, if there actually is an invisible string tying us together, but it's really pretty to think about that all along there was some invisible string tying you to me. And like that's just a reassuring thought of like the idea that people say like what is made for me will find me, like that sort of idea. People always debate like fate versus free will, and this is kind of saying fate has its own thing going on, but it will all work out the way that it's meant to. Also, the idea of an invisible thread of fate originates in Chinese folklore based on what I was able to find from a quick Google search, which was the idea that there's an invisible red string tied to soulmates and would bring them together, which is just interesting that on the album Folklore, she brought in a piece of Eastern folklore and not Western folklore.
Yeah.
Verse 2. Bad was the blood of the song in the cab on your first trip to LA. English teachers everywhere weeping at this fucking sentence.
Okay, but also
it's so good, but also
self-referential queen.
Literally, like she's just like, oh, you're the first time you're in LA, like Bad Blood played in the cab, like hopped off the plane at LAX with a dream in his little yogurt shop cardigan. I imagine he's still wearing the shirt. His free shirt.
He's never stops wearing that yogurt shirt.
No, he's broke. We've all heard paper rings.
Oh man. I mean, catch me still wearing clothes from like the oldest jobs in the world. No, because
I like had to force myself to throw out all my lifeguarding shirts when I stopped lifeguarding because some of them were really comfortable. Yeah. Honestly, I might still have mine from the Culinary Institute of America. Just because I think it's funny to reference that I used to work at the CIA, but not like the one that you're thinking of. I definitely did use that as like a joke at parties when I was working there. Anyways.
As well you should have.
You ate at my favorite spot for dinner. Honestly, very important in a relationship to have the same taste in food as your partner.
True. Also,
because have you ever dated like a really picky eater?
I've dated vegetarians.
You bitch.
It's not that they're picky. It's just like, and I also dated someone with a peanut allergy. That was really tough.
What a picky eater. They didn't want to die. Ugh.
I know that didn't answer your question, but it's more so that like, yes, having the same taste in food is important. I'm not a vegetarian and I love peanut butter, so that's my connection.
My brother dated someone that had a peanut allergy. And when they broke up, the first thing my mom did was just like, hey, you want a Reese's?
No, for real. That is real.
Bold was a waitress on our 3-year trip. So, like, this was written about their 3rd anniversary, during which time Taylor was still kind of, like, in hiding, I believe. Is that right?
I don't know. You
no,
said
I'm wrong.
You said it confidently, though. So.
I said it confidently, but I was incorrect. I'm so confident being wrong. So the 3-year trip, which would have been not like shortly before Folklore, but kind of like Lover era, like 2019-ish, 2019 or 2020. So it might have been Folklore era. Time wondrous time, you know what I mean? I don't know what's going on. Getting lunch down by the lakes. So obviously this is, connected to the song The Lakes, the bonus track off of Folklore. But just in general, the Lakes District in England is a place where a lot of poets used to live. Spirit, you're fine, baby. Lay down. She heard me talking about poets, and she's just like, my namesake. Shakespeare did not go to the lakes. It was a little after his time. But I was rewatching the Long Pond studio sessions the other day, and I thought it was really interesting because Taylor was talking about how she waited to drop the Lakes bonus track until a couple weeks after Folklore came out because she wanted people to think that Hoax was the end of Folklore, and then it actually ends on this happier note of the lakes.
So what you're saying is the original ending of the album was in fact a hoax.
I wish audio could have picked up my shock.
You went surprise Pikachu.
I did go surprise Pikachu, and I was like, I should make a sound, and then but I was too busy processing. Wow. Yeah. So Abby had a better note about what I said than I did, as per usual.
That is not usual. Usually when you talk, I just admire you.
Anyways, a compliment. Get it out of here. She said I looked like an American singer. Like, it's wild to me that people didn't notice her, because I think some celebrities, if they're like kind of off duty, it's easy not to recognize them. Like, I think of Dolly Parton, who nobody knows who her husband is or what he looks like, and they've been married like the entire time she's been in the public eye. Because if Polly Darton,
You're doing really good with names today. Don't do that.
that actually hurt. I didn't like that.
Oh.
I took the bit too far. But if Dolly Parton went out and she just wasn't wearing her wig and she just like had her tits covered, who would recognize her?
Who would know?
Time, mystical time. So first it was curious time. Now it's mystical because it has this magical quality as they're getting closer to actually meeting. Because the first verse is talking about them as kids and like they're, curious time. They don't really know how it works yet. And now these things are happening. He's like showing up to LA and their songs playing, and then it did actually reference them meeting, and I'm just out of it. But like after they've met, they're kind of like this magical concept of time bringing them together now. Cutting me open, then healing me fine. Like, the time heals all wounds is such a cliche, and then she just took it and just reworded it, and it's brand new again.
Yeah. Like, I found time heals most anything.
Time won't fly. And that's one thing that's actually interesting that I forgot to write down is the way that she talks about time in so many of her songs is as this negative thing. And in this song, time is what's holding on to this invisible string and tugging them together.
And healing her.
And healing her. Cutting her open and healing her. So it's like, it's not always a bad thing. It's not always a good thing. It's a like very neutral thing. It's very balanced. And the rest of the chorus is the same. And then the bridge, a string that pulled me out of all the wrong arms right into that dive bar. So cute. And also Indelicate, dive bar on the east side. Where you at? And when I think of like dive bar and Delicate, my mind obviously goes to the music video, because kind of throughout that music video, she's very invisible. And the moment that she becomes not invisible to everybody around her is when she walks in the dive bar. So it's interesting that the invisible string turned her invisible and brought her to the dive bar where she was finally visible again.
Oh,
very cute.
That is cute.
Something wrapped all of my past mistakes in barbed wire. I'm going to leave that to the tolerated of it all.
Because I have something to say.
Chains around my demons, wool to brave the seasons. So these two lines are interesting because it's not saying that like these bad things, like the seasons changing, being harsh, or like demons, he's not magically getting rid of them, but he's softening the blow, like chaining up the demons so that they aren't as like free to wreak havoc on your life, and wool for the season so that you don't get as like cold or as warm or whatever. So it's not like he's magically fixing everything, but he's making things better. One single thread of gold tied me to you.
It's so cute.
Literally my note is this shit is so cute. No notes.
So cute.
Like, and then she does her favorite weird song structure moment of having another verse after the bridge, just like she does it in Would've, Could've, Should've, and I know some other songs, but that's the only one that's coming to mind. Cold was the steel of my axe to grind for the boys who broke my heart. Now I send their babies presents. Like, fate caused her to have all of the heartbreaks that eventually led her to the right person. And so in the end, everything worked out. She's happy and in love. Her ex is happy and in love and has a baby. Gold was the color of the leaves when I showed you around Centennial Bark. I really wish I could fucking talk. I was just thinking about Spear. Once believed love would be burning red, but it's golden, etc. All the gold, and obviously single thread of gold tied me to you. Hell was the journey, but it brought me heaven.
Ugh.
And like that idea that when like I'm thinking of Francesca by Hosier, which I know we also referenced last episode.
It's always relevant.
It's
much
always
like Hilary
relevant.
Duff.
Much like Hilary Duff, it's always relevant. But like I'd tell them put me back in it and I'd go through it again if I could hold you for a minute. And just that idea of knowing that if this is the end, like you get your happy ending and all of the pain becomes worth it.
Yeah.
Time, wondrous time. Now that she's all happy and in love and sending her ex's babies presents, time is now wondrous.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
She's got it figured out. She's like, it's a good thing.
Exactly. Gave me the blues and then purple pink skies.
Mm-hmm.
The lover aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool, baby, with me. And it's cool.
The shape
Come on, buddy, it's new. Yeah, so that's just a little Cruel Summer connection. I don't really know if that means anything, but I wanted to go, it's cool. I wrote cool in all caps in my notes.
The person on Spotify who wrote in and admitted to us that their song by Taylor that they don't like is Cruel Summer, that was really brave of you.
That was so brave.
It's the one, I haven't published it because...
I realized you didn't publish it.
Should I?
I'm going to do it right now.
That was so brave.
Live on the pod.
Well, we're getting a nice publishing moment.
And this is why you should answer our questions, because we'll...
It was just
publish
really...
them. Response published.
They said they ended the message too with no offense. They knew.
They knew we would be offended because they listened to our Cruel Summer episode.
And I love that. And thank you so much. And it is a safe space. And even though you're wrong.
No wrong answers.
There's one. There's one, actually.
I just think of like that meme of like the guy with the t-shirts that's like no fears, and then it's like something happens, it's like one fear. Which then makes my brain go to this lesbian couple had a banner in their house that said no boys allowed, icon behavior, but then they had a son.
Aww.
And so then they rearranged it to say son boy allowed.
That's funny. You always manage to loop it back to lesbians. I love
What
that.
can I say? I'm drinking out of a Sappho smug. Slender Aphrodite has overcome me with longing for a girl. That's literally what my mug says.
Meanwhile,
If you have not seen the Celery Man Paul Rudd skit, please stop this episode. I don't care if you're driving. Pull over.
it is 1 minute long.
It's 1 minute long. It's pure fucking chaos, and I have a mug of it. It's Abbey Road.
It's not just Celery Man. It's Abbey Road. It's the Abbey Road image from the very famous album, but it's got the Celery Man iterations on them. It is the best thing ever, ever.
It's so good.
And Kat received it like
It was
randomly.
a Secret Santa thing through like something random. It was like Lawrence or something.
I think it was Lawrence.
And I forgot to save their contact information. So if you did the Lawrence Secret Santa like in 2020 and you sent me a Paul Rudd Abbey Road mug, please know I think of you often and very fondly.
Also, we manifested Joe blowing up, right?
We did.
And then we manifested Lawrence blowing up.
We did, because
Gracie
is going to be on the Sex Lives of Teenage Girls.
of College
And
Girls
College Girls. Yep, that's correct.
with Renee Rapp.
No, Renee Rapp left.
Well, I think she's technically filmed part of season 3.
Fair enough.
But whatever.
But either way, that's wild, because the first time we went to see Lawrence, like when they were the headliner, when we saw Sarah Gross for the first time, who also had her fucking YN moment.
I think we're doing this.
I think can we work it on ourselves? But met Gracie in the bathroom of that show. She was so nice and fun.
Yeah.
And then, so Sarah Gross, just a little tangent, basically she sang on stage with Zach Bryan, who I don't listen to because I'm not a big country person, but she basically like went to the tailgate before one of his shows, and then like ended up playing the tailgate the next day at the show, and Zach Bryan's dad saw her and like passed along her info to Zach, and then he was like, oh, she should come on stage and sing a song with me during the concert.
Incredible.
And now Sarah Gross is living it up.
It's just, I mean, so basically if you
We'll start
want
using this as a promo to get people to come on the podcast. Hey,
No, for real.
this is
like,
what happened last.
we are making this happen. We can't make it happen for us, but we can help
We'll
others.
use our powers for good.
Yeah.
So my discussion question, what is an invisible string moment that you've had in your life? Doesn't have to be romantic, but just something that you're just like, oh my God, this is crazy that this happened.
I'm so glad you asked. So I have one.
Hell yeah.
Because I was wondering if this was going to be the question. So my current roommate, Aria, I've mentioned her quite a bit. Her and I became friends in high school when we were about 16 or 17 years old because I started dating this guy and then she was in the friend group. And so I became a part of the friend group and her and I just totally hit it off. And we remembered each other because when we were 12, there was this girl who invited both of us to the same sleepover. We didn't know it was going to be like a multi-person sleepover. But anyway, so we both showed up and then there were like a bunch of people there. It wasn't just like a one-on-one situation. And Ari gave me a makeover and burned my ear when I was 12, right? So we both remembered that. And we still were just like, haha, that's so funny. Ari and I ended up living together in college. We live together now. And living together now, we realized that when we were in middle school, we also had the same chiropractor. And then...
invisible string for real.
No, this is the wildest part.
Okay.
We went to the same preschool at the same time. We were in 2 different classes, but my mom and I belly danced together in front of the whole school and my dad filmed it. And I was talking about this and she was like, I remember a student belly dancing with her mom. And we looked at the footage. We rolled the clip. Ari is in the footage.
That's insane.
And so that's my invisible string moment with Ari.
That's crazy.
I know, it's really wild.
I don't know if I have an invisible string moment, to be honest. I feel like I have random things happen that I'm just like, how the fuck? Like when I met Noah Khan, I felt like that was an invisible string moment because I just me and my friend planned to just be slow leaving the concert. And then we were both on his Instagram story, but you could only kind of recognize me. It's very blurry selfie.
So iconic of you.
Let's hope it happens when I go see Hosher at the same place.
Yes.
If I go to see Hosher at the same place.
Hopefully. Cross your fingers. I also made an online internet friend who ended up living across the street from my brother, and I found that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So.
Oh, wait. I have the biggest invisible string moment. When I was looking for apartments when I decided to move.
Oh, yeah.
I looked at this place that I'm currently living in, and I found it online. And I was like, oh my God, this is in my price range. This is amazing. And so I sent them a little email being like, hello, please let me tour. I would like to live here. And they were like, okay. And then I was talking to my mom about it and she was like, that's so crazy because that's where your dad was living when I met him, when she was living in a different city and he was living here with my uncle. And then I was talking to my boss about it after I signed the lease and she was like, that's where I lived when I moved to Rochester. What?
Didn't they both meet their future spouses there as well?
They did both meet their future spouses while living here. So
anyway,
cross those fingies and toes. Maybe I should stop saying fingies if I don't want to be alone forever.
I was just about to say hit Cat up. She's single, and then you said fingies. I don't know if I can endorse it anymore.
That's honestly so valid of you. So that's invisible string, and now for a total vibe shift.
Okay, are y'all ready to cry? Tolerate it. Okay, strap in, folks. It's going to be a emotional ride. Tolerate It is track...
Just doing another visual bit on her audio podcast. Well, I strapped in and then I lurched forward as if there was an impact.
That was some incredible physical comedy. Way to go. So... Tolerate It is track 5 on Taylor's 9th studio album, Evermore. It came out December 11th, 2020.
I started doing numbers and then I was like, I have to do all the numbers.
That's so fair and valid of you.
I can't half-ass anything.
This is the 5th track 5 song that we have covered on the podcast.
Invisible string for real?
Invisible string for real. But also, can you believe we've gotten through half of them? And we're about to have another.
Please, can I have another?
We're about to have an 11th. That's still wild for me to think about.
I haven't fully processed the fact that we're getting tortured poets.
I can't even process it. It's happening. It's happening. Like, so soon for you guys listening to this. So soon.
Yeah. If you're listening to this, it comes out on Friday.
I'm so happy for you guys. We still got a little bit of a ways.
We got 2 weeks.
So this song is inspired by a novel that was written in 1938 called Rebecca. I'm not going to say it like that.
Rebecca.
I said a healthy snack, Rebecca. Anyway, being normal.
There's also a great movie, because I haven't read the book, but I have seen the movie.
Oh, okay.
It's a pretty good movie.
So Taylor said about this, there's a long quote. She said, when you watch a film or read a book and there's a character you identify with, you most of the time identify with them because they're targeting something in you that feels like you've been there. That's why we relate to characters. And so when I was reading Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, is that how you say it, du Maurier?
Sounds right to me.
If I butchered that, I apologize. And I was thinking, wow, her husband just tolerates her. She's doing all these things and she's trying so hard to impress him, but he's just tolerating her the whole time. And there was a part of me that was, you know, relating to that because at some point in my life, I felt that way. So I ended up writing the song, Tolerate It. Just like me for real, though, because I also relate to songs and books and characters more so than anything else.
Yeah, I also think, like, using characters in books and movies and things to like process emotions that you've gone through that you don't like have the language or like context for is really like, I think of like, I watch every time that somebody important to me passes away, I will rewatch Haunting of Hill House because that's how I make myself cry so I can process my grief. Yeah. Otherwise I'll just shove it down because I'm Irish.
The amount of times I've brought up music or TV shows or books to my therapist in therapy to try to express what I'm feeling because I don't have the words for it, like you said. And then to take something like that and write a song about it, not only about the character that you resonate with, but pulling from your own experiences as well to just create something that's pretty universal, unfortunately universal for this song. So Rebecca, I looked it up. It's a book with an unnamed young woman, the main character is not named, who marries a wealthy widower, and then they discover that they're being haunted by the memory of his late first wife, Rebecca. So the main character does not have a name, and the title of the book comes from this ghost, from this memory, which I found really interesting.
Yeah.
Because, like, she's basically not even the main character in her own story, which is applicable to this song.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Because the only other book that I can think of where the main female character is not named is Handmaid's Tale. Because in the show, they name her June, but in the book, she's never named.
Interesting. The main character in Fleabag never gets a name.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, which I wish that you could handle cringy comedy because it
Somebody
really
told
is.
me to start with season 2.
It was
You were
me,
there.
probably.
You probably, yeah.
Because, and some people say that's just sacrilegious. That's a funny pun considering that there's a priest in season 2, but
for context, I literally cannot watch cringy movies and TV shows. I will fast forward through stuff or I will stop watching it.
yeah, and that's why I don't think Fleabag's the right show for you, which is such a bummerino because it is a masterpiece of a show, especially that second season, which means a whole lot to me, which is why I talk about it so much in this podcast.
Fair enough.
So this song was written by Taylor and Aaron Dessner and potentially other people. I should have written it down. Aaron Dessner basically created an instrumental of the song in this weird time signature, and he wasn't sure that Taylor was going to like it because it was kind of weird. And he sent it to her, and then she did what she usually does and sent back a version with the vocals and the lyrics, and he cried.
That's just like me for real. The first time I heard this song, I burst into tears because my most recent breakup before this album came out was very Tolerate It coded.
Yeah. I suppose at this point, I'll circle back to the time signature thing, but personal connections, I just wrote, let's just say I've been here. At the time Evermore came out, I was recovering from a relationship that was really hard, and like Evermore really helped me process it.
Yeah.
And get past it. And yeah. So love that journey for me.
Love that journey for you.
This song features Jonathan Lowe as background vocals. That's all I have to say about that. So this time signature, it is in 10/8 time. I mistakenly thought that it was in 5/4 time, which someone from Vulture and other critics also thought it was in 5/4 time. But also, what is 10/8 if not 5/4? That's math.
That is math.
I don't know a lot about music theory, and I don't actually know what the difference is.
I mean, technically, it would be the same overall, because it just, like, 10/8 would just mean that there's 10 beats of eighth notes, which is the same as 5/4.
Right.
It just probably has to do with how it's...
Like phrasing, like musical phrasing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, that's not traditional. For those who don't know music theory, 4/4 is pretty standard. 3/4 is the waltz. Which 6/8 is also like a waltz, and then 10/8 is practically unheard of. Not unheard of, but very uncommon.
Yeah, it's not a normal, which I wonder if that's also part of the reason why this song is like hits so hard, is because it's sort of this like weird unexpected rhythm, and it's in a way that like, because when you listen to a song and you don't have like a music background, you're not thinking about like the rhythm or the beats or the time signature that something's in, but like you can tell that something's just a little bit off about it.
Yes, and it makes you uneasy, kind of like this main character is feeling uneasy.
Yeah, it's just off-putting enough to work.
Yeah. Critics mainly really liked the song. Some people thought it was weird. Some people thought it was a drag. Okay.
If it's a drag, then so am I.
And then it was performed as the last song of the Evermore set on the Eras tour, featuring Taylor crawling across that table towards a man and like knocking things off the table like a cat.
Cat coded.
It is cat coded. Both the animal and the person sitting beside me.
I love hitting things off tables. I would do it, but everything on the table in front of us is breakable in some way. Oh wait, I can hit this. and that actually also made me realize that we forgot to change the lights.
Ah, that's fine.
That's okay, because we don't really have a folklore color because there's not a gray option. No, that's not Evermore. That's Evermore. Right? Is that Evermore? Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do. So now we get into the verses.
Oh, wait. One more thing about the performance. The piano intro is so good, and it makes me want to start playing piano again.
Yes.
Doo-doo. It's so good.
Did you see people that have done the La La Land Me and Sebastian theme into the Eras Tour piano version of Tolerate It?
No, I haven't.
And I cannot believe people did that to me when I opened TikTok, because I literally don't use TikTok, because I keep saying, but sometimes I respond to comments on our TikTok and I open it and it was just like the da-na-na-na-na-na, which is the Me and Sebastian theme into Tolerate It. And I was like, how dare.
How do we send them our therapy bills, or do they have like a Venmo where you can request, or
for real? What TikTok do you have to do, Kat?
There was a TikTok trend that I wanted to do earlier, but you were almost over, and so I was like, oh, we'll totally be done by 8:30. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. I also hadn't done my makeup at that point, because every single time that Abby comes over to record, I'm in the middle of doing my makeup, because I've never been on time for anything in my life.
And I'm always busting my ass to get here, only 15 minutes late.
45.
It was not 45. You said 6:30 or 7.
And you got here at 7:15. And I still wasn't ready.
And that's with 4. So anyway, now we get into the lyrical breakdown. This first verse of the song very much shows that this person's entire life revolves around her partner. So she's saying, I sit and watch you. I wake and watch you. Like, the only time that she's not watching him is when she's sleeping, basically, which we don't hear about because she's asleep. But like,
she probably dreams about him.
Probably. She doesn't talk about that though in her song.
We haven't referenced that in a while.
I know, it's been a minute. So I sit and watch you reading with your head low. I wake and watch you breathing with your eyes closed. Paper rings. She talks about, now I wake up in the night and watch you breathe. And in Last Kiss, like I used to watch you sleep. So she talks about that sometimes.
And also Paper Rings. Now I've read all of the books beside your bed.
Yeah, which is a really weird parallel, because these two songs could not be more different.
No, but also I think it's like a depressing parallel of how things can be so like happy and idealistic, and then it hurts even more when they break down.
Yeah, that's true. It's like two sides of the same coin.
Because there can only be that much pain when there is that much love.
Yeah. She repeats, I sit and watch you throughout the song. So she says, I sit and watch you. I notice everything you do or don't do. She's taking notes and learning from this partner because he's older than her. We established that he's older than her in the next line. You're so much older and wiser. And so we've talked a bunch of times on this podcast how with age gap relationships, which Taylor has written about quite a bit, you tend to see this older person as like, well, they know what they're talking about. So when they tell me these things, I believe them. And in this song, she's watching him because she's like, he knows better. He knows what I'm supposed to do. And if I keep watching him and if I do everything, if I pass all his tests, like in Dear John, then he will love me.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, that doesn't work.
Not really how that shouldn't, you don't have, if you have to earn someone's love, then they don't actually love you.
Right. Hard lesson.
Hard lesson.
Hard lesson. Then we get into the chorus, and the verse leads into the chorus with, you're so much older and wiser and I, and then the chorus is, it's this beautiful, breathy, like, desperate, it's so good.
It's so good.
This melody is so good because she says, I wait by the door like I'm just a kid, and her voice gets higher, and she's singing in a higher place in her register, and she's like, I wait by the door like I'm just a kid, like she sounds younger. So she's showing that through the melody, but she's also like totally belittling herself here because she is an adult, but she's saying, I wait for you like I'm just a kid. I feel pathetic. I feel ashamed about doing this, but this is what the reality is. This is what I've been doing.
Long were the nights when my days once revolved around you.
Mm-hmm. Use my best colors for your portrait. Like, again, comparing, she's using very simple terms like a kid would to be like, I am doing everything I can to impress you. She's using her best colors for his portrait. Like, she's doing everything for him. She's not even thinking about herself this whole song, basically. I mean, she's recognizing that she's upset, but she's doing it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Also, paint you a blue sky and go back to and change it to gray.
Yeah.
Paint me a blue sky. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't write that down because sometimes I don't write things down because I know you're going to bring them up. And that's one of them.
And I did it. I passed all your tests.
Yeah, you did. Impressed? I am, actually. That's why I'm not John. That's the reason.
That's why I don't have a Dear John letter dedicated to you.
Yes, yet. The life is young.
You sound like a fortune cookie.
Like the really foreboding ones that you get.
I have only gotten one really. I got a stupid one the other day, and it was grammatically incorrect, which is why you're saying something slightly.
Oh, so it was the song "Invisible String."
It was grammatically incorrect derogatory, not grammatically incorrect masterpiece.
Gotcha. So one interpretation I saw in Genius that I didn't even think about is that using her best colors for his portrait, she's literally like painting him in the best light that she can, like creating an image of him using the knowledge that she has and trying to make him the most beautiful thing without acknowledging the red flags.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Because she's painting what she wants him to be and not what he is.
Yeah. Which hurts. And lay the table with the fancy shit, which is kind of a jarring line because the use of shit in a song like this, you wouldn't expect it. But it's almost because like this china, this table, the way she's laying the table, it doesn't matter to her at all. She's doing it because she knows that he cares about it. So she's just dismissing like, I did what you, like I laid the table with all the fancy shit. And it's just showing again their dynamic and how she's younger.
And it's also like that moment of frustration when you're doing all this stuff for praise from your partner and then they don't even have any reaction. Like you're going out of your way to do these things to make them happy and they're not even doing anything. And it's so frustrating when that happens. And it's like easy to snap and be like, well, I did the fancy shit. And what are you doing? You're fucking tolerating it? Fuck you.
So she's doing all this and she watches him tolerate it. And like with all the things that she's watching, all the things that she's noticing, of course, she's also noticing that she's not getting the reaction that she wants. Yeah. All of that energy put into it, and literally for what?
There's nothing worse than loving someone that tolerates you.
And there's something so extra painful about it just being like tolerated.
Yeah.
It's not even, he's not yelling at her. He's not blowing up or anything. He's just tolerating her as if she's this nuisance.
Yeah. And because the thing about having somebody feel like they're tolerating you or like neutral is like, I think of like The Way I Loved You. I miss screaming and fighting and kissing in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she doesn't want comfort. She wants it to be like this exciting, like she wants to be in love and not in a tolerable state.
Yeah. I think, like, they say the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And it's just like that drives you more crazy when someone's not even thinking about you, like just tolerating you. Ugh, it hurts so much. Then she says, if it's all in my head, tell me now. Like, she's looking for that reassurance, like Taylor often does in her songs. Tell me I've got it wrong somehow. Like, she would love for him to just acknowledge her and say that he loves her too.
Yeah. And just acknowledge, like, I see what you're doing, and there's some other explanation for why I'm not acknowledging it.
Yeah. And she says, I know my love should be celebrated, but you tolerate it. I think oftentimes, especially when we're growing up, but even into adulthood, anyone can have this issue. We're often told, like, you are a star, you are incredible, you are worthy of love, you are perfect just the way you are. And, like, yeah, we can know that. We can know that our love should be celebrated. But we also accept the love we think we deserve, to quote Perks being a wallflower. Like, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
In the second verse, it starts with, I greet you with a battle hero's welcome. So we got another reference to love being a battle, or like a war. She does this a lot. She waits at home while he fights and does all of this work that's like widely recognized. And when he comes home, she's been waiting for him, and she celebrates him like this big hero and just completely dismisses her own life and what she's been doing.
Mm-hmm.
I take your indiscretions all in good fun. I literally keyboard smashed in my notes. It's a keyboard smash.
That's valid.
And I think this line is supposed to mean like cheating.
Yeah.
Like he's going and seeing other women, and so she's just dismissing that and being like, it's fine. I'm not going to think about it. But it also reminds me of all the little times where you're dating someone and they do things that are just, they make little comments, or the way that they talk to their friends in front of you, or just do all these little things that you notice and you just brush off for now, even though you don't quite like them.
Yeah, it reminds me of like when you're dating somebody and they are doing those little things and you kind of ignore them because you know that if you acknowledge them, then it's going to be a fight, or you're going to have to like break up in some way, because if you think about the little indiscretions that they're doing as more than just something to joke about, then you're going to start seeing all the other red flags in the relationship. So you're like ignoring it because you know that not ignoring it is going to mean the end.
And also, if you bring it up, you'll probably be called dramatic, having an overreaction.
Been there.
We go back into the chorus, which is the same.
Still hurts just as much.
And then the bridge.
I'm afraid.
Uh-huh. Okay. While you were out building other worlds, where was I? So
so good.
It's so good. This bridge is fantastic. Once again, she's labeling what he's doing. He's a hero. He's fighting in these wars. He's creating worlds. Like, she's speaking so highly of him. And where was I? Like, she totally lost herself in it because she was so focused on that.
And another way that I think of that line is, where was I? Like, she's asking him, like, I know what you were doing. Where was I? Do you know what I was doing? Do you know what's important to me and what matters in my life?
Yep. Yeah, like, I think so highly of you. Do you even think about me at all? Okay. Where's that man who'd throw blankets over my barbed wire?
Wrapped all of my barbed wire.
Past mistakes and barbed wire.
Past mistakes and barbed wire.
So we get a pretty intense crossover between our two songs here. So she's looking for this man that threw blankets over her barbed wire. The reason that she fell for him in the first place is that he did this thing that it seemingly comforts her, that softens this barbed wire that she had. An invisible string, she's basically saying that this partner, wrapped her mistakes in barbed wire as a way to protect her from them. so that no one could touch them.
And so that she wouldn't keep going back to them.
Right. And in this one, she's saying, like, where's that man who threw blankets over my barbed wire, who covered them up? But it's almost like putting a blanket over something old in the garage that you don't care about, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, like, really dismissive. The reason why she fell for him in the first place is, like, yeah, he covered it up and made things look nicer, but it's still underneath there.
Yeah, and then, like, in contrast to Invisible String, where she's talking about these things that he did to soften the blow of these issues, but he didn't dismiss them. You know, he had the wool to brave the seasons, but didn't, you know, just keep her inside so that she wouldn't experience winter.
And he's also ignoring them.
Yeah.
Instead of acknowledging them, he's ignoring them, which tracks for the rest of this song.
Yep.
Because sometimes your partner doesn't want to know about your baggage at all.
Because they suck, and you should dump them.
Well, like, there is a place for sharing what you've been through in a relationship. You don't necessarily have to share all of your baggage. Sometimes it's not relevant anymore, not important anymore, whatever. There's reasons to not. But if you share something with someone and they just dismiss it.
Yeah. Or say, like, was it really that deep? Like, oh, yeah, it was. If I say it was, so get fucked.
Yeah, that's the problem. Oh, I made you my temple, my mural, my sky. Now I'm begging for footnotes in the story of your life. I mean, wow. That's a beautiful but damn.
Yeah. Because, like, to be a footnote is, like, you're not even important enough to be actually mentioned. You're just referenced.
Yeah. You're not even a part of the story. That's... And, like, I made you my temple, like, my religion, my art, my creativity, my sky, my world. And she's nothing.
It also, that makes me think, like you saying, like, I made you my world, like, outbuilding other worlds in, like, your indiscretions.
Ooh,
like,
yeah.
Was he out manipulating other women into loving him and building their own worlds for them, and then the whole time having her at home?
Ow. Yeah, that's probably what that means, and that's really hurts. There is a contrast in Bejeweled that we talked about in our Midnight Mayhem episode, Midnight's Mayhem, where, like, she reclaims the land in Bejeweled. This next line, drawing hearts in the byline, is one that I was, every time I listened to this song, I was so busy recovering from the previous line that I never acknowledged this one. And so reading it, this is what made me cry. Because a byline, I didn't know this because why would I know this? In newspapers, a byline is where they list the author's name of the article. And so, like, he hasn't even included her in her story, and she's still there reading it, drawing hearts around his name. Ow.
She's drawing hearts in the byline, and he's thinking that she's taking up too much space and time.
Yes, which is the next line. Always taking up too much space or time. He's like, she's a nuisance. She's a burden. She's like,
so needy.
You wrote in my book. Like, I want to punch.
I know. I'm filled with such a amount of rage that I can't even voice. Just because, I mean, having been in a relationship where this was the thing where, like, I would do all these cute romantic gestures and then it was not reciprocated or appreciated. It's a rough listen.
This is a really rough listen. And the fact that it's the track 5 of Evermore, it makes a lot of sense because Evermore it can be a rough listen. I mean, I love it so much for that reason.
I love Evermore, but it's a rough listen.
It's a rough listen. I literally wrote in my notes, I will fight him.
I am ready to go. Meet me at the fucking McDonald's parking lot. 3:30 a.m.
So, for your taking up too much space or time, that idea of being called too much, I think people, women, are called too much, or like they're acting up, they're being dramatic all the time. We've talked about this at length. So I'm just going to drop in Liability by Lorde. And she says, you're a little much for me. You're a liability.
I can't believe you brought fucking liability into this.
I'm sorry, but I had to do it to him.
It's crazy because today is actually the anniversary of when I saw Lord on the Melodrama tour,
Really?
which Jack Antonoff came out and played Liability with her at the show.
Wow.
Fucking Invisible String right here.
Invisible String for real. So then she says, you assume I'm fine, but what would you do if I, and then it leads into the chorus. Just for you assume I'm fine. I might be okay, but I'm not fine at all. Like putting up this front, you'll never see me cry. All that good stuff.
But also her knowing her partner so well and being able to read all of his emotions.
Yeah.
And he can't even see through her saying I'm fine. Nobody's ever fucking fine when they say I'm fine.
Yeah. When someone says they're fine, they're not actually fine, to quote Demi Lovato. Anyway. And he just assumes that when she says she's fine, she's telling the truth. Or maybe she's not even saying anything because he doesn't ask.
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway. Then for this last chorus, she says, what would you do if I break free and leave us in ruins? Took this dagger in me and removed it. Gain the weight of you, then lose it. I say all those lines in a row because I cannot stop reading.
Yeah.
She's saying, like, would you care if you saw how much pain I'm in? If I expressed to you what your actions have done? Just between us, did the love affair maim you too? That sort of vibe. Like, would you care at all? Ouch. Took this dagger in me and removed it. Like, he literally stabbed her in the chest. I don't know if this is anything, but like they say if you get stabbed not to remove it.
Yes. Because
it can cause you to bleed out faster. And she's saying, like, what would you do if I literally took this pain that you caused me, ripped it out of me, and it caused me to, like, I'm in worse shape. Like, what would you do? What would you do if you saw me literally here bleeding out?
Yeah. What would you, like, because if you still got the thing in you, like, you're more fine than you're going to be when it's taken out. So, like, what would you do if I finally acknowledged all the pain that you're causing me and you couldn't ignore it anymore?
Mm-hmm. But then you get mystical time, cutting me open and healing me fine. So she says, believe me, I could do it. But I skipped a line. Gain the weight of you, then lose it. I can't skip that line.
I'm a soldier who's returning half her weight.
Yeah, the all too well parallels for this are pretty wild.
Yeah.
She had this whole person overpowering her. There's that joke, like, the quickest way to lose 180 pounds is to break up with him. Mm-hmm. But, like, she was able to let him go and break free. And she said that she could survive. She would survive. Like, believe me. Like, she's kind of threatening to do this at this point. She's saying, like, if I did this, I would survive. I would be okay.
Yeah.
And then she goes back to, if it's all in my head, tell me now. Rest of the chorus. And much like The Archer and I Know Places and a couple of other songs we've recorded recently, there's that cycle. It ends with I sit and watch you. It ends with that first line of the song. All of it happened in her head. She did not have this confrontation.
Yeah. She's just imagining this whole thing of what would happen if I, like, finally talked about this. Ugh. This song's so good.
Is so good and so painful. Because she's saying, like, if it's all in my head, tell me now. This whole song literally is in her head.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know any of this because she's not saying it. That's not saying that he's not also just oblivious in general. But it's so painful because of the amount of letters that I've written to people.
Yeah.
And songs that I've written to say the things that I just wish I could say, or tell them the things that they made me feel, or the actions that they did to cause me to have emotions. However you want to say. I'm not going to speak like a therapist right now. When people piss me off and I write about it, or really hurt me and I write about it, but they never even know.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I like recently rediscovered a song that I wrote about my ex that makes me relate to Tolerate It. And I literally, like, there's a line that's like, I won't apologize for breathing in and out in the wrong way. I'm like, fucking Tolerate It core.
That is Tolerate It core.
Much angrier song.
I have one song specifically that I was thinking of when I was writing these notes that's very Tolerate It coded. I don't know if I'll share it. It's extremely personal.
Fair enough.
But, like, yeah, I played it for you once over Zoom during COVID.
I'm going to be so real. I have no memories.
No, please, COVID brain. None of us remember anything.
I don't even remember the song that I wrote. I rediscovered it when I was looking for songs for a book that I'm writing where the main character is like a musician. So I was like, let me just go in my own archive so I can have actual music for this book.
I love that. I love that. Sometimes you just gotta look back. And honestly, when I look back at my old music, I'm like, some of this really slaps.
Literally, I was like, I have no recollection of writing the song, and it's a banger. What the fuck?
But I also noticed that I have my own eras in songwriting and just in style and things, depending on what I'm listening to or just like how old I am. Like now I write a lot more like Taylor Swift because I listen to a lot more Taylor Swift.
That makes sense.
Not that I could ever be Taylor, but I can certainly try.
Fair enough.
So I've got a couple discussion questions, and I don't really like either of them.
Say them anyways.
So the first discussion question, I think I've asked it before technically. What classic novel would you write a song about?
See, we haven't asked a classic novel specifically.
We did not ask, but I said Great Gatsby, I think. The last time I asked it, I said if you could write a song or a book about any piece of media. Is that what I said?
I think it was actually my question.
Oh, okay.
So it works because now you're asking it. I think if it had to be a classic, I mean, obviously any Shakespeare. But if I'm thinking like straight up classic novel, I'm going to say a controversial, if it's canon or not. Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. One of my favorite books ever. Has one of my favorite quotes from literature, "Real gods require blood."
Wow.
Banger.
Yeah, you would write a banger of a song about that. My answer continues to probably be The Great Gatsby. I have a very strong emotional attachment to that book. I can't explain it. I just do. So does Taylor.
So does Lord. Waiting for it. That green light, I want it.
Truly. But since that, there have been songs written about that. I'm going to throw in a little curveball moment. There's a book called Wide Sargasso Sea. I think I'm saying that right. Wide Sargasso Sea by, I think it's by Jean. I should have looked that up.
You could do it right now.
I'm gonna give it a go right now. Just real quick.
I thought you were gonna say Catcher in the Rye. You're like, this book. I don't think anybody's ever heard of.
It's a real underground.
Catcher in the Rye is the biggest red flag book.
It is.
Just know that if somebody is no longer in 11th grade and Catcher in the Rye is one of their favorite books, get the fuck out. That means they haven't read a book since the 11th grade.
True. This one I read in college in my women's literature class. It's called Wide Sargasso Sea. It's by Jean Riz or Rise. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I never know how to pronounce anything.
I think it's Reese.
Reese?
That's purely based off of the name Reese Sand from A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Okay. I believe you. I trust that.
It's spelled RHYS for the people who have not seen the name Reese Sand.
Well, the reason why I love this book so much is because it is, it's basically it's Jane Eyre, but from the point of view of the woman in the attic, which is an amazing plot. And so she gives a whole backstory to how the woman ended up there. And it's very similar to the Tolerated vibes. We're just like, this woman is literally in Mr. Rochester's attic in Jane Eyre.
I will also say a lot of people have connected Invisible String with Jane Eyre because I guess I haven't read Jane Eyre, fake English major. But I guess when Rochester is like confessing his feelings, he says like there's a string in my chest tugging me towards you. But I didn't include that in my notes because I haven't read Jane Eyre.
That's actually one that I have read twice. I liked it a lot better the second time when I was an adult. When I was 15, I had to read it. Oh, hated it so much. But Wide Sargasso Sea, I just thought it was so cool how they took Jane Eyre's story and just focused on a different character. I love shit like that.
Yeah.
So I think maybe I would reread that and write something about it. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Well, camera's dying, so I guess it's perfect time to wrap it up.
Next week, we will be talking about
Tortured
Poets Department,
so,
y'all.
Reminder, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, April 18th. Join us on the live stream. We'll be making cookies.
We're gonna make Taylor Swift chai cookies.
And we'll probably be drinking wine also.
So it'll be a fun time.
It'll be a real good time. It'll be drunk lore plus Tortured Poets lore. Maybe I'll wear a fucking blazer.
Whoa.
Maybe I'll pull out a fit that I used to wear when I was teaching English.
Maybe I'll wear a blazer.
Oh my God, slay. A slazer, if you will.
A slazer. It'll be our first live stream. That is so exciting.
It is very exciting.
So please come so that we're not embarrassed.
Yeah. We'll end the live stream. We'll do it.
We will. We'll still have a fun time. We just play Tolerate It in silence, and then we turn the live stream off.
If nobody comes to the live stream, it's just going to turn into Tolerate It and us drinking red wine and crying.
Which is kind of the perfect way to listen to a Tortured Poets Department. I haven't heard the album yet, clearly, but
but it feels like the right vibe.
It feels like the right vibe. So it'll be super fun. So come join us.
Come join us. And but for now, before that happens, make sure you leave us a rating and review wherever you're listening to this.
Mhm.
If you're on Spotify, answer the questions and the poll that we have posted.
Mm-hmm.
And follow us on Instagram at SwiftFloorPod.
And on TikTok, it's SwiftFloorPod.
And we'll see you next Monday. Crispy high five.
Here we go. Okay.
One and done.
Crushed it.
Swiftfloor out. Call me an uninstalled door because I am unhinged, baby.